notice that you're losing patience for conversations, friendships, and relationships that you used to tolerate? Not because people have changed, but because something in you has. And here's what I think is actually happening. You're not losing patience for other people. You're losing tolerance for the versions of you that show up in those relationships. The version of you that keeps saying yes when you mean no. The version that stays quiet to keep the peace. The version that takes up less space so someone else can feel comfortable. And that version of you is becoming unbearable to maintain. Because the version of you that performs in that relationship is expensive to maintain. And I don't think you're becoming intolerant. I think you're becoming unable to betray yourself. And that's a very different thing. So let's say you have a friend you've known for 20 years. And for all those years, it's been good. But lately, something's shifted. You sit down for coffee and she starts talking. And you listen. You nod, smile. But internally, you're noticing this conversation isn't real. And you feel guilty for noticing it. You think you're being judgmental. But what's actually happening is that you can't afford the cost of being inauthentic anymore. So you start pulling back. And you think there's something wrong with you for doing this. Or maybe it's this. You go home for the holidays, and without even thinking about it, you become the old version of yourself again. The peacemaker, the responsible one, the easy one to get along with. You spend 3 days managing everyone's emotions, making sure no one's uncomfortable, being the version of you that your family knows and expects. And afterwards, you're exhausted. Not because your family is bad, but because you spent 3 days performing someone you've outgrown. And you realize, I can't keep doing this. But then you feel guilty for having that realization. Because what kind of daughter resents spending time with her family? And maybe for years, perhaps decades, you learned how to be different things for different people. And this was actually smart because it kept you safe. But you did it so well that you forgot which one was actually you. And at some point in midlife, your body gets tired. Not tired like you need a vacation, tired like I can't maintain this anymore. So your nervous system rejects the performance. Let's say you're in a conversation and you physically cannot smile and nod along anymore. What you tolerated at 30, relationships that were mostly surface, conversations that weren't real, what you tolerated at 30 feels unbearable at 45. Not because you're becoming difficult, but because maintaining the lie is now physically, emotionally, spiritually exhausting. It's like your psyche saying, we have to be honest now. And you can't afford the cost of betraying yourself anymore. Not everyone is asking the same questions you are right now, and that's okay. Some relationships will transform because both people are willing to be real. Some relationships were built around roles that no longer fit, and those will naturally fade. And it's not rejection, it's just misalignment. The work here is getting honest about which relationships allow you to exhale and which ones require you to perform. Which people know you and which people know a story about you. Once you see that clearly, you can't unsee it, but you can move forward into relationships that are actually real because you're not interested in anything less than. So that guilt you're feeling about this, that's not a sign you're wrong. That's just a sign you're changing. You're not becoming intolerant. You're becoming unable to betray yourself anymore. And that's the most important transformation you can actually go through. If you want to understand this transition more deeply, I have a free masterclass what your midlife crisis is actually trying to tell you. Link below. So, what relationship are you reckoning with right now? Let me know in the comments. I'll see you next week.